After looking in front of her eyes moved southward. That sweet smile made the young man feel his heart moving for the first time. It was only until her brother reminded her that she suddenly regained her senses. How could such an outstanding girl take a fancy to her ordinary self? However, to the teenager's surprise, when the car broke down and she was about to push it to the side of the road, the girl behind jumped off today, and the owner came forward to help.
Should I
do it?
Called Tasha. Faced with the girl's hobby, the dull teenager didn't notice it, but simply thanked her and let her leave here. Car to try to talk to you, under the reminder of his brother, he just woke up from a dream, and his eyes couldn't help but reveal regret. I didn't know that the teenager was good at repairing cars, and this skill had long been remembered by the girl. So the girl's car broke down the next day, and Dawson saw it from a distance. Seized the chance to assist. To compensate for his regret from yesterday, he desired to ask the girl out, but was speechless, even regarding flirtation tips.
Saturday night squeals at 6?
Affirmative.
Maybe you'll figure out how to fuck me better.
The heart-stealing girl's proactive invite thrilled Dawson, but when she returned home, her unlawful businessman father ordered her to send a batch to Dawson the next day, yet she firmly declined, resulting in a cruel slap. Basically IT now. This marked Dawson's first direct confrontation with his father. Recognizing his father's power and ability for retaliation, he knew he must leave immediately, or face more severe consequences. With nowhere else to go in the torrential rain, Dawson took shelter in a carport for the night. Upon waking, he found a spear aimed at his forehead.
What's your name?
Dustin Cole.
Tommy Cole's son.
I thought that when I heard my father's name, the other party would drive me away in fear or disgust. But to Dawson's surprise, although the old man cursed, he still took a blanket from the car and threw it away.
You should be more comfortable in this car.
Although he got rid of his father temporarily, Dawson stood the girl up. Amanda inquired about it and found the carport, hoping for a reasonable explanation, but he looked slightly angry. Dawson, who had a low self-esteem, felt that it was a bit unreal. He asked if this was just a game or a bet. Hearing these words, Amanda only felt. It's ridiculous that he stopped lingering and turned away angrily, but soon turned back.
Some coffee? Come on, I ask you questions. And if we just so happen to like the answer, Dawson, then maybe we'll go on another one, and if we don't, then we won't. Because, I mean, if that's just too much to ask, and...
Fine arrived in silence, and Amanda walked out the door angrily with nothing to say. Listening to the sound of the door closing, Dawson's heart tightened, and he got on the front cover of the car and strode out of the room to chase after it, but never thought Amanda came back again. When she saw the bruise on Dawson's left eye, she understood the reason.
Do not take me somewhere private.
By the moonlight, the two finally ushered in a late appointment. They talked about their studies and future ideals. It seemed that there were always endless topics to talk about, and Amanda's frankness and straightforward made Dawson even more fascinated by it. When they separated, he picked a rose nearby and handed it to Amanda, who was full of surprise. Her response was equally romantic. Amanda's appearance was like a light illuminating Dawson's world and making his life warm and bright. When the two were having fun that day, a pickup truck drove into the yard. Dawson saw it from a distance and suddenly panicked. He was anxious. Amanda pushed into the car and urged him to leave here immediately. The person who came was none other than Dawson's father, Tommy. He was still recording a smelly smile inside, but the next second was a heavy punch.
Piece of trash like you fetch your items. Hood IT.
In the...
Truck, let's go!
Touch him again. Next one will kill you.
At the critical moment, the old man Tucker appeared in time. Facing the three people approaching slowly, he raised his gun and shot directly through the windshield of the pickup truck, followed by the headlights and rearview mirror. Dawson's mouth was powerful. He never thought that Tucker had such courage. Realizing that Tucker was not easy to mess with and had a gun in his hand, Tommy had to happily prepare to leave, but he noted that the other party seemed to value the insider in the courtyard very much. While Dawson didn't want to involve Tucker and offered to leave here, but Tucker just frowned and told him that it was no longer safe to live in the carport and would make a room for him at home. That night, Dawson braved the heavy rain to find Amanda. As his father said, he always felt unworthy of Amanda, and he didn't want his beloved girl to be in danger for herself. She wanted to end the relationship, but Amanda told her, "I don't mind."
I don't care.
Amanda became a regular at Tucker's house and discovered Tucker's fondness for the courtyard tulips, which were the only remnants of his deceased spouse.
Have a little channel there?
Foolish.
Fortunately now, with the company of two young people, Tucker, who's been completely lonely all her life, is no longer lonely. She likes to watch them make noise, and even treats them as children invisibly. For Dawson, this place is like his second home. He knows that Tucker's health is not good, so even if he is in love, he often takes time to help take care of the weeds in Wapuli. Amanda always pretends to be left and right. For the first time, she realizes that the original doll life can be the ultimate romance. They frolic and sit crazily together, getting married in a daze, and the jade crystal flower, the warden of the courtyard, quietly witnessed a sweet love. Dawson was invited to Amanda's birthday party this day. After a brief introduction, Amanda's father took Dawson to the garage alone, and his smile gradually converged. He cut to the chase, hoping that Dawson could leave Amanda, and as compensation, he would pay a lot of fees. Hearing this, Dawson's face also turned cold. He drank all the red wine in his hand, then broke the wine glass, and left here angrily. Under the warm sun at dusk, Dawson thought for a long time, considering that he would do all evil. Father may be himself. He really should let go, but these worries instantly vanished with the appearance of Amanda, who was found by knowing she.
Throwing October, I'd have to think about.
So many this.
Dawson put on the suit Tucker gave him and prepared to attend his brother's wedding. Before leaving, the gratitude buried deep in my heart finally blurted out.
Me this kind of dignity.
After he finished speaking, he just got up and straightened his crooked bow tie, and then watched them leave like an old father. However, shortly after Inamori left, Tommy, who had been holding a grudge, came to the door. He took someone to knock Tucker to the ground mercilessly, and then snapped his head to let him see, with his own eyes, the flower spectrum left by his wife was destroyed. At the same time, Dawson, who had left shortly, found that something had left at home, but when he got home, he saw Tucker lying in the yard. After thinking about it carefully, Dawson understood the reason. He picked up the gun on the wooden frame and walked straight out of the room. Despite his brother's repeated dissuasion, Dawson was already occupied by anger at this time. Quickly, Dawson found his father. However, when the gun was aimed at this man, he couldn't do it. It was this moment's hesitation that gave him a chance to fight back, and the two of them immediately wrestled together. During the argument, Dawson accidentally pulled the plane, but the person who fell to the ground was worried about his brother, who followed him. The police station looked extremely self-blaming. Sentak's heart also turned into a ball. He told Seni,
Wonderful if you're different than the rest of the boys.
"You're
A good guy.
and your body."
You hear me?
Under Dawson's identification, his father and others who had been engaged in illegal business naturally couldn't escape the punishment of the law. However, what made Dawson ashamed was that it was not only his brother who visited the prison moderately. Amanda told Dawson that no matter how long it took, he would wait for him outside. But for Dawson, how could he bear to let a girl who loved himself deeply wait for 8 years? After hanging up the phone, he stopped looking out of the window. And Amanda, who was in a hurry, was willing to give up this relationship this time. In the next few months, a girl will appear in the visiting cell every day, and she always looks forward to it, and comes back disappointed. Dawson's refusal of visitation. Gradually, Amanda became disheartened, coupled with the pressure of his family. He finally chose to compromise and married a man he didn't love. Years later, Dawson was full of letting him choose to go to the ocean and become a driller. His every salary would remain intact. That is, he would return to his brother's wife. On this day, the oil platform shook violently. In order to rescue his partner, Dawson was impacted by the explosion and fell into the cold seawater. In a trance, he saw a familiar figure in the flower garden full of turmeric boxes. He walked towards him with a smile, as beautiful as the first sword, and exciting. Dawson narrowly survived, but after life and death, he knew that if he wanted to untie the knot in his heart, he couldn't choose to escape as he did in the past. She owed her a formal apology and farewell. As soon as she was discharged from the hospital, Dawson received a phone call. Tucker passed away, and Amanda, who had already changed her appearance, also received the phone call. So she was still in the carport, and the two finally ushered in a reunion after 21 years. Although years have erased the original enthusiasm, although it is just a simple greeting, the former understanding still stirs their hearts at the moment. According to Tucker's will, they came to the flowery cloth covered with weeds inside, and sprinkled their ashes here. Both of them were careful, and they didn't mention the words of the past, like a pair of familiar strangers, until they learned that Amanda would become enlightened tomorrow morning. Maury finally summoned up the courage to say the apology that had been pressed in her heart for 21 years. She hoped to get her forgiveness, but Amanda didn't want to listen to her explanation at all. Looking at Dawson, Amanda's grievances and pain for many years, who was struggling to explain, finally rushed out like a flood that opened the gate.
I would have picked you regardless, but you took that choice from me.
I hurt you. Let's see.
Lucky Dawson held him tightly in his arms, and this garden, which carried their best memories, will witness this regrettable love for the last time. Just like at the beginning, they danced together, had breakfast together, and went crazy together. But the difference is that it used to be an infinite vision for the future, but now it is the last farewell to keep boundaries.
An opportunity to meet.
To love you again. People spend their whole life and they can find IT.
We did.
After more than 20 years of not, Dawson was relieved. He removed the weeds in the flower garden, planted tulip seeds, and planned to welcome a brand new life. But this day, when Dawson was shopping in the supermarket, he saw his brother, who had already died. After testing, he learned that the other party's name was Aaron, a child left by his brother. To Dawson's surprise, he actually mingled with his father, who was released from prison. But soon he saw that Aaron was not voluntary. Several years of incarceration failed to temper Dawson's father, a fact Dawson couldn't perceive through those still hot eyes. Shortly after, Amanda received distressing news of her son's severe heart condition, requiring urgent transplant for survival. On that same night, Dawson's father, Tony, undertook a vengeful assault. Dawson ordered defensive action against the assault and overpowered the two attackers. As he dialed the police, his father's voice echoed from behind. Dawson still fell into the waves of blood. He looked at the stars in the night sky. Suddenly, he saw that the flower garden was full of tulips, and the girl dressed in red. She walked from the distance of the lush years to the eyes of Xiaohua Zhuozhuo. She wanted to keep looking at her like this. Maybe her eyes full of regret had quietly plunged into the dark hospital with that faint smile. The doctor pushed open the room with a smile, and the operation went very smoothly. That night, Amanda had a dream that Dawson was sitting beside him. Looking at him so quietly, he smiled at him, and his smile seemed to be filled with helplessness and reluctance. Before he could ask, he was awakened by a doorbell. When he opened the door, the bad news followed. When the news of Dawson's death reached his ears, Amanda's heart trembled. After a long time, the corner of her mouth couldn't help but twitch, and she collapsed to the ground weakly. And those beautiful memories of the past, with my smile tilted, finally surged like a scourge and savagely tore open her defense. It wasn't until a year later that Amanda gradually emerged from her sadness. On this day, he received a phone call from his son, and the selfless heart donor finally found his information. Perhaps love let mothers. Feeling indifferent, life is sometimes so dramatic, accompanied by a lot of regrets. If such a person really appears in front of you and is willing to entrust you with the rest of his life, this is undoubtedly the greatest reward from heaven. Only by grasping the magic of resonance can each other gain greater strength. While giving up lightly seems to be a success, but it actually hurts others and yourself. And finally, live up to the once-in-a-lifetime encounter in vain.